Hi everyone. Today we're going to talk about complex sentences. And in order to talk about complex sentences, we first have to talk about clauses. So a clause is just a combination of a subject plus a verb. There are two kinds of clauses in English. There's an independent clause, which is a subject and a verb. That is a complete sentence. For example, I was late. I is the subject, was is the verb. We have a complete sentence. So now another type of clause is a dependent clause. And a dependent clause starts with a word called a subordinator. And then it has a subject and verb. And that is an incomplete sentence. For example, if we say, because I was late, this is not a complete sentence. And it's not a complete sentence because it starts with this subordinator, because. Subordinators are words like because, if, before, after, when, while, words that tell us when something happens, why something happens, the purpose of an action, or the conditions under which an action can occur. There's a blue box in your textbook on page 113 that actually gives you a nice list of subordinators and some examples of how to use them in sentences. So take a look so that you can start memorizing them and learning how to use them. So complex sentences are sentences that are composed of at least two clauses. You have to have an independent clause plus at least one dependent clause. So we have an example here. I was late because my car broke down. The independent clause is here, I was late. The dependent clause is the one that starts with because my car broke down. Now we have a complete sentence that ends with a period. We can also switch the order of the clauses in a complex sentence. We could begin with a dependent clause, because my car broke down. Then we add a comma. And then we add our independent clause. I was late. Because my car broke down, I was late. And now, again, we have a complete sentence. We end with a period. There's no difference in meaning between the first sentence and the second sentence. Both sentences mean exactly the same thing. So you really just have to remember which one uses the comma. So the one that starts with the dependent clause is the one that has the comma. If you start with the independent clause, there's no comma. And this is important. A lot of people make a mistake and put a comma right here. That is incorrect. No comma if you start with the independent clause. A lot of people also make this mistake. I was late, period, because my car broke down, period. This, I was late, is a complete sentence and can stand alone. But this, because my car broke down, this is not a complete sentence. We said before, this is a dependent clause, which means it has to be connected to an independent clause. Otherwise, you get a sentence fragment. And we talked about sentence fragments before, incomplete sentences. So we can fix this just like that. Now, our sentence is correct. You can read more about clauses and complex sentences and do some practice work in your textbook starting on page 112. As always, I encourage you to do the practice exercises, check them in our online answer key, and if you have any questions, come and see me.